Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be my top 10 cool tone bronzers for 2025. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 favorite cool tone bronzers. I myself am fair-skinned with a cool to neutral undertone, and I am of the opinion that bronzer is sometimes far too muddy, far too orange, and sometimes even green on me. So that's why finding a good bronzer has been a really, really great struggle in my life. It's been a very difficult makeup product for me to find. And that sort of catapulted me into doing this cool tone series in 2024 that a lot of people liked. And I was like, you know what? I think I have tried enough in the past year to be able to talk about some of these categories again. And to my surprise, I have found quite a few very nicely cool tone bronzers that I wanted to share with you in today's video. So let me get to my 10 plus one honorable mention in terms of my favorite cooler tone bronzers. And the honorable mention is actually on my face today. You're going to be able to see this swatched out in a video that will be going live tomorrow because I just sat down to film a first impression makeup look with the new Catrice stuff for spring-summer 2025. So this is brand new. I haven't tested it out enough yet. So that's why it's not part of the actual top 10, but my first impression of this is really, really positive. It is the new Melted Sun liquid bronzer in shade, does it have a shade name? Tan Lines 005. So Catrice already did a Melted Sun range, but it comes in a compact. And then it is very similar to one of the other bronzers I will be mentioning in a little while. But this is really pretty. It looks straight up gray in a swatch. I'm going to do some live swatches in this video today, but I do want to apologize for my hand being an absolute mess because I already swatched some other products today and they stained my hand. So if you do see any pink tones, that's from some K-Beauty lip stains I was swatching earlier today. But here is what Melted Sun by Catrice looks like. This is their new liquid bronzer that has just dropped. So you'll see me apply this to my face in tomorrow's video. Everything else I have here, I do have a full review for on the blog. So I'm going to be linking you to those in the description box down below. So you can also see what those look like on my face. And I have a very even split here of 5 creams and liquids and like 5 powders, even though one of the powder bronzers is actually cream because it's in a compact. So it's more by packaging than anything else. Something that I already mentioned last year, and I still love this a lot, but it's probably going to be the warmer toned option of anything I will be showing you here today. And it's the Rare Beauty, I think this is called the Warm Wishes bronzing stick in Power Boost, and I do really enjoy this bronzer. I think it's really, really stunning. It is one of my favorite formulas in terms of like a cream bronzer, but you can just see compared to the Catrice how warm toned that actually is. So I do like some warms in my bronzers usually. I think it can still work because a bronzer is supposed to like warm up your face, and this has a slightly more yellow undertone, and I have just found that if I need to go for a warmer tone bronzer, that a yellow undertone works best for me. I'm not exactly sure why, but there's just something about the color theory behind that I just like the look of the most. So if a bronzer is too orange, I don't tend to use it. Some bronzers just look straight up green on me, which is not a good look. Also in a stick format, this is shared with you last year as well. This is by Kiko Milano. This is their Sculpting Touch Cream Stick Contour in shade 200. I believe they have since extended the shade range on these. I believe there are now more shades, but this was actually a recommendation by one of you guys. I bought it. I love it. This is a great stick. It is marketed as a contour though. So that was my main takeaway when I shared this list with you last year. Try a contour shade, or try a shade that makeup artists or you see influencers online recommending as a contour for people, because if you have a cooler undertone and you still want to use a bronzer, then something like this may not work for you, but something that has a contour shade that leans more gray can work a lot better. But as you can tell, from Catrice, we do have some very gray leaning bronzers nowadays. This is not swatching because it's on top of my knuckle. And this is what I mean with, like, if things have a bit of a yellow undertone, I like it better. Look at how similar it is to the Rare Beauty. So even though this is a contour stick, it is still quite warm if you do have a cool undertone. So that's why I say go for a contour instead of an actual bronzer, because contours are marketed to be used as shadow on people with warmer skin tones. 75% of the market is going to cater towards warm tones. Cool tones are very rare to find, and this is just another showcase of that. But I do have a couple of other things that are going to be closer to that Catrice one. But even though I haven't tested it out and I have no clue what the wear time of it is, so even though I haven't even tested out the Catrice yet and I don't know what the wear time is going to be like, I had to share this with you because I just think that this is one of the best tones for a bronzer that I have ever found. Like, it's on my face right now. It doesn't look this gray once it's blended out. So sometimes it's also like you really need to give the product a chance. In a little pot, I have the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. This is in the shade Feeling Shady, and this is especially good if you have that cooler undertone. This, I feel, can be a little bit green on me. I really have to feel this one, and I don't love how tiny this pan is because it's difficult to pick up, and because the product is quite thick, I feel I always need to warm it up with fingers, but then with fingers it doesn't blend out the way I'd want it to. So it is a really nice sheer formula. It's right here. I don't even know you can see that. It's so sheer. So this is probably not going to be for everyone. It's like right here, but again, it does have that really lovely light grayish undertone. It just needs a lot of building up for it to show up, but this can be really perfect if you do have really pale skin, because sometimes products are just too pigmented for you and that's why they don't work. And with the e.l.f. Feeling Shady, you will not have that issue. It's not my perfect bronzer in my collection. I actually think that come my declutters in the springtime, I will be decluttering this one because I don't see myself reaching for it all that much. And I just have other options that are going to give me that very cool tone vibe, but that are more pigmented, which is what I prefer. But I still think this is a good recommendation for people who may be afraid of bronzer, who do want something that is that more gray leaning vibe, but that is incredibly sheer and therefore you can barely do it wrong. And then also in the liquid and cream category, I have another e.l.f. product. This is the Contour Wand, the Halo Glow Contour Wand in Fair Light. I don't like the packaging of this. That's the only thing I don't like about it, but look at that shade. It's perfection. It has a twist cap, and then you just squeeze out the product. So it has one of those, like the little doe foots, and it just sort of comes out. And this is really pretty, and it's definitely more impactful than the Feeling Shady shade. So this I do enjoy for that reason. So here is what that contour wand looks like from e.l.f., the Halo Glow. And you can see it's pretty similar to the Catrice one. The Catrice one is a bit more purple almost, especially because it has a bit of a dry down. Like this looks green compared to this. Not sure you can see. But my favorite of all of these creams and liquids, as I mentioned, with e.l.f., it gets really messy because you just twist off the cap and then the product can disperse out of the little sponge tip it has. So those I have found to get really messy really quickly. But the Baby Got Bronze from Essence, this is in the shade Sweet Shadow, has the same sort of packaging as the Charlotte Tilbury ones, where you just pull off the cap and then it twists open. And because it has the lock, the product cannot continue to ooze out of it, making it a lot easier to use. The only gripe with this, again, you can see where the product comes out. It has that same sponge tip, but this only has one little tube and the sponge doesn't really do anything. So that's another thing I don't love about this, but it is okay. It works. And this is a slightly deeper tone. And again, compared to the e.l.f., I just like this shade better. It's a bit more brown purple leaning again, so it's right there next to the e.l.f. So it has a almost like purple undertone compared to the e.l.f. The e.l.f. products all look a little green on me, I'm not gonna lie. I still think of all of these, I think the Catrice one is the best one for me, because this is a little bit too dark and it can look a little bit weird on me if I don't blend it properly. Like it can accentuate certain levels of redness that I have, but this is again a super cool tone product that I haven't even seen high-end brands do anything like this. So if you're super cool toned and you do want it to have like pigment and impact, then the Essence one would be my pick. But then I also have some things in the compacts, and again here I have some things that I know I've shared with you before. In fact, this little guy, the Kiko Milano Flawless Fusion Bronzer, is currently in my Shop My Stash. I go back to this thing every winter because it is my favorite lighter bronzer in my entire makeup collection. It's in shade 1. It's getting difficult for me to actually link this, so I'm not sure if they still do it, but this is such a good fair skin friendly bronzer. It's just, it has everything I needed to do. It's not super cool toned. It definitely still has warmth to it, but it is very pale and fair skin friendly, you can say. And I know that if I swatch this now next to all of these like super cool tone things, like this is going to barely show up. I really need to build up this swatch for you to even see it. I don't have the best lighting today as I'm filming this either because it's super foggy, but this is the only day I had to film this. But here it is, again, a little bit more yellow leaning, which is what I just prefer if I do go for a bronzer that has warmth, but that isn't overly warm. I just feel that there's just something about my skin tone that neutralizes the slight yellow tone it has, and because the shade is right for me, as in depth-wise, it just works. Another one that I have already shared with you is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Light. This is technically not a powder, of course. It is a cream bronzer, and there are more affordable dupes to this on the market. Like I said, Catrice's Melted Sun in the compact, dupe for this one. The Makeup Forever, no, not Makeup Forever, the Makeup Revolution cream bronzer in light. It's a great dupe for this one as well. Mine has a huge dent. I love using this thing. And the shade is closer to what you see here in the middle than what you still see on the outer rim. It looks darker in the pan before you use it. And this is really pretty. It's again very light, very sheer. Of all of the things I'm sharing with you here today, I feel like it's the most similar to what the putty bronzer from e.l.f. does. It also has this very sheer, you can just build it up for days kind of formula to it. Again, not super cool toned, but it does have a very similar sort of vibe to what the Kiko has to offer. It's just light. It has a slight pink tone to it. And it's that pink tone that I enjoy, as you will see in a sec. Let's just do that one next, because I think this was in my list last year as well. This is by Dior. This is their Forever Natural Bronzer in Tan Bronze. And I picked this out deliberately because I went into store to swatch it to see the different undertones, because Dior did like 8 of these. And they have now reformulated this. They have, in my last new makeup releases, or maybe I've shared it, like saved it on Instagram, and I'm going to share it the next time I talk about new makeup releases, but this product has been relaunched. It just has, which is a bit of a shame, but I still love mine. I still use mine. I don't feel any need to be testing out a new Dior bronzer because I have this one. This is, again, very sheer. I need to build up the swatch so you can actually see what this has to offer. It's terrible with these. But this is, like, with bronzer, you don't want them to be too intense when you swatch them with your fingers. With bronzers, you just don't want them to be this intense when you swatch them with fingers. You need to build them up because else it's going to look crazy. And here, again, I feel it just has that hint of pink to it that I don't see a lot of other bronzers have. And then there's two in this category that are new here, but this is not that new to me, actually, because this used to be my favorite bronzer. This is by Soap & Glory. It is their Solar Powder Bronzer. Does this have a shade name? It's in light, and they've come out with it again. I had this, hit pan on it, and they discontinued it. And then I was in Boots in London last spring, and I saw them. I spotted it again in store after not having been able to repurchase one for years. And this has 2 shades. It has a lighter shade and the darker shade. On my old one, I hit pan on the lighter shade because it was more finely milled than the darker shade did. So whenever I use it, I used more of the lighter shade than I did the darker one. And this is, again, pretty yellow toned. Like, ooh, it's the most yellow toned one we have here. Look at how yellow that is compared to everything else. Like, I swear, it's so yellow. But that's why it works. Is this the kind of bronzer I use now in the wintertime? No, it's not right for me. Like, this is what I use in the wintertime, fully build up, and this is what I use more so in like spring, summer. When I do get a little bit more of a tan, I don't tan. I don't go out in the sun. I try to stay indoors as much as possible, and I slap on SPF 50 whenever I do tend to be out of the door in like for more than 10 minutes. So that's sort of how I live my life. But then I do get a little bit of a sun-kissed look, and then I do like to wear that sort of bronzer shade. And then Pat McGrath also does bronzers. This is the Divine Bronzer in Naked Desire. And at first, when I first spotted this, I was like, I don't even want to try it because it's so light. Look at how light that is. This is the lightest bronzer in my entire collection. This I thought wasn't going to do anything when I first swatched it. But then I used it and I was like, oh, that actually works. So again, a little bit more warm toned. It does have that yellow undertone again that I do enjoy. But as you can tell, Essence and Catrice, king of the cool tone bronzer. We definitely have been getting more cool tones. Like the Kiko and the Rare Beauty look positively orange compared to everything else. And compared to other bronzers, those aren't even that orange. So can you imagine how orange other bronzers would be on my skin? Like, it's terrible. It's out there, let me tell you. So yeah, these are the 11 bronzers if you count the Catrice one that I think are really, really great. If you do have fair skin, if you're looking for a bronzer that you can use, if you do have that cooler undertone, remember, a bronzer is supposed to give you warmth, so they're going to have a bit of warmth to it very often. But if you don't want to use a bronzer, there are blush tones that can work as a bronzer that have that pink tone to it. I know Bobbi Brown does a really pretty one, but I personally have not felt like I needed that in my life because I already have so many other things that I do like. So yeah, from, like, let's start here. This is the Catrice Melted Sun. Then we have the Rare Beauty and Power Boost, the Kiko Milano in the Contour Stick in 200. Feeling Shady by e.l.f. from the Putty Bronzer line. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand in shade Fair Light. This is the Essence Baby Got Bronze Liquid Bronzer, because they also do it in a stick form, in the shade Sweet Shadows. And then we started over here with the Kiko Milano Flawless Fusion Bronzer in shade 1. The Makeup of Mario Soft Enhancing Sculpt thing in the shade Light. I never know what that thing is called because the name is just too long. Like Soft Sculpt Skin Enhancer, that's the name I think of it. And then we have, what was the third one again? Then we have the Dior one, which is in Tan Bronze. Then we have the Solar Powder Bronzer from Soap & Glory. And the final one here is Pat McGrath in Naked Desire. So this way you can hopefully get a good look at all of these different bronzers. And yes, people, it is 2025 and we are finally getting some bronzers that are marketed as bronzers that have that gray undertone that aren't going to make you look dead and ashy, but that still work as a bronzer. Because as cool toned as this looks compared to everything else, I mean, it's on my face today and it's not making me look dead. It's just giving me a little bit of warmth. It gives a little bit of shape to my face. I don't really love contouring, so this is, I think, a great one that I'm really going to be very excited for to try more. So that's everything I wanted to share with you in this video today. I hope you got something out of it, that this video was helpful and informative for you in finding a new bronzer if that's what you were looking for. I definitely think I tried some new things that are especially from the drugstore for some reason that I have really enjoyed adding to my collection. I haven't been trying too many bronzers though. There are some other categories where I feel like, did I try enough new stuff to update it again? But the plan is to do one of these videos again once a month. So I will be back in February with another cool tone video. And if you have any ideas of what you want me to chat about in that video, then please let me know, because I could do blushes, I could do maybe some lipsticks again at some point, eyeshadows, we could do so many things here. So thanks so much for joining me. Thumbs up the video if you liked it, and subscribe, because I do make videos regularly about cool toned products, like tips for light skin and all that jazz. So stay tuned for more, and then I hope to see you again in my next one. Bye bye.